go, another drive time video. Okay, I want to talk about something that I sort of touched on in my video on Chinese living standards and their expectations of them, and the way my great-grandmother saw the coming of electricity to the area. Now, what I want to mention is that there's a lot of people on the grid. Well, I mean, I see it worldwide. There's a lot of people who essentially don't understand things outside of their circumstances. I've seen people writing in the paper complaining about, oh, public transport's so good, everybody should take it. I take it, it works for me, and therefore everybody should use it. And of course the reply come back from someone else. Well, out here in the country we don't have public transport. We have to drive 80 kilometres, which is like 50 miles or something, to work one way. You know, there's a lot of people that can't see outside their own circumstances. And in all that, there's people who sort of have been born into the grid, and you know, some of the people, like, you know, were born in the city, so they weren't like my father was, where he actually remembers when electricity came on. Because when his same generation, the city dwellers of his same generation were born, the electricity was already on. But it's so funny when you see things like, you know, Afghanistan. 80% of Afghanistan doesn't have a proper sewer system. Oh, that's terrible. How can they be living like that? Oh, da-da-da-da-da. Hey, it was never put in. There was never one to begin with. It's not like the existing one was just magically there and it was just bombed to smithereens or whatever. And it just, you know, it doesn't. These things never existed to begin with. And there's some of these people who they sort of, well, basically a lot of city people look on being on the grid as a default. But because of this aspect where they can't really see much outside their own circumstances of living, they suddenly assume that the entire world thinks the same way as they do, and that is with their default understanding being that everybody's on the grid. See, because they've always been on the grid, and they sort of have a lot of trouble understanding a life outside of their own circumstances, then they sort of automatically assume that, you know, the grid is everywhere, and they sort of, their thinking is centred around the basis that the grid is just a given, it's a guarantee that it's there. It's you know, like I hear, why don't you get the power on? Well, you know, at $43,000, I don't see it that's necessary. It's not necessary, but it's not practical financially. And, oh, haven't they put the power on out that way? Surprise, surprise. You know, we're, what, like about 70 miles from, you know, 70 to 80 miles from the actual capital city suburb, the central business district, and there's not power on. And I suppose I better touch on a few little facts about Australia, stupid things I see people mentioning. You know, oh, I'd love to watch, you know, Australia develop over the next 200 years. Hey, hang on a minute, back off a bit, mate. There are, as you know, people that get eaten by crocodiles, but that ain't the big deal. What it is the majority of this country is desert. I'm talking 75, 80% or more is semi-desert or complete desert. Now I think semi-desert means 6 to 12 inches of rain a year and 6 inches or less a year is full-blown desert. I did know exactly. But there are areas, and this has happened many times before and still happens now, whereby it's not practical to develop these areas. You say, why? Well, as has happened so many times before, and even within 6 months ago, it happened again. Somebody got bogged in a car. Oh, bugger this, we'll walk back. We know where the homestead is that's nearest to us. We'll walk back to it. So what they done is, they had a limited amount of water, but they got out of their air-conditioned car and they started walking. I mean, they only had 11 k's to go or something like that. I mean, that ain't that many miles at all, really. I've worked further than that in a couple of hours, you know. And anyways, they only got 25 minutes of the journey. And one of them died of dehydration, and another one took shelter, and they said when they found him, he was about 10 minutes from death. This is what it is like outside. It is, forget 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 38 degrees Celsius. It is commonly 50 degrees Celsius. Okay? That means the temperature that the air is that hot that you could probably barely have a shower under it. I'm not joking. As a result, these areas aren't practical to be developed because, you know, you die in the heat. And it's as simple as that. Furthermore, due to the low population of Australia, basically, there's just not the funds to put in road and rail. I've had someone say they should put electric rail in across the nullaboor. Someone from England. You got to map out and have a look at the nullaboor. You go from the West Australian border to a place in South Australia, which is over in the east, called Ceduna. C-E-D-U-N-A. It is thousands of kilometres I have travelled along this stretch. Maybe to be financially worth it to electrify. God blimey! Why? There's just a big road that just goes straight for thousands of k's. There's kangaroos. There's fuel stations. There is no real town anywhere amongst these places. Anywhere. Nowhere at all. There might be one, I think, I don't know, but essentially speaking, the joint is just an endless drive, you know, and that's just one part of the country. When you get into other parts of the country, there are areas that have been used for filming to depict the moon. Why? Well, because there's not a blade of grass. And you can drive and drive and drive, and half an hour later, you still haven't seen one blade of grass. Not a one. The movie Pitch Black, if you've ever seen it, it's a Vin Diesel movie. It's an earlier movie. That was filmed in these areas. They actually left the props in these areas. My parents have seen some of the props from that movie. You know, a lot of strange, apocalyptic, weirdo movies are made there. And the only reason anybody is ever in these areas is for mining. There's so much mines there. They are so rich they can get 2 rocks off of, well, an island that's up near these parts. And you can get 2 rocks and you can literally get a welder out and weld the 2 rocks together because there's so much iron in these rocks. In some areas there are cattle stations. These cattle stations are 5 times the size of Texas. So there goes the idea about Americans always having bigger stuff. You can fit European countries inside these cattle stations. They're essentially ranches. Many of them, but not all of them, are actually government owned, and they've got a 99-year lease on them. But you know, there's massive swathes of this country, other areas near me, where they still don't have electricity on. Entire towns don't have it available. Not just a couple of houses at the back of the town, but the entire town doesn't have it available. And it's just sort of, it's sort of like, probably like this for 200 years. And then you get people that are, oh, how do you live without the grid? Oh, well, you know, people can't survive without this and that and da-da-da. No, that's all in your mind. Because we've survived for 200 years. 200 years with no electricity. Still not on in these areas that are 70, 75, 80 miles from the CBD of the capital of the state. So, you know, the default is undeveloped land. And in many parts of this country, the default is off-grid. And I've heard it said that some people are conspiracy theorists or prepper types, and that's the only reason they're off-grid. And you must fit into one of them categories if you're one of them. Nah, not really. You might just live in Australia, where the grid never went in. Much the same as it didn't go in Afghanistan. You know, there's some crazy shit that occasionally happens, and you say, oh, there must be law and order. It's also the thing. There's not quite enough cops in some of these areas. And therefore, things are a bit awry. I mean, these places that are run of their own accord. And there's a case I should mention, where somebody, two blokes actually, died of lack of water, and they had a road boss. He was an arsehole. They didn't pay him about 2 months' pay. And he was out in one of these stations, and they thought, stuff this. We're going to, you know, we haven't got our pay. He's not going to give it to us. Bugger it. You know, this is just turning bad. We've just got to get out of here. He's a grumpy sod, and we're not making anything out of this. And they said it was quite a bad vibe in the air between the boss, who, you know, this is the way it's going to be, sort of thing. And what ended up happening was they took off with a company vehicle, and they drove and drove and drove and drove, and they ran out of diesel. And then they went looking for water. And they ran out of water, and they went looking for some, or just for some help in general. One bloke went one way, one went the other way. They etched into the polystyrene on the side of the water bottle the date when they were, you know, ran out of water. And they found the vehicle, and they found the water bottle in the vehicle empty. This was 5 years ago, and they've never found a trace of them since. Now you also know why there's some parts that, you know, this is why there's some areas of Australia that aren't developing, because there's just not the water. It's just desert, you know, or very low water, low rainfall, hard access to get water. That's led to these places being there, but there's no grid out there, you know. We don't have the money to put a goddamn electrified railway in there. We don't have the money even to put bitumen road there, let alone, you know, some of these other things that some people suggest. And frankly, if we did, it wouldn't pay for itself, because there's just not enough people live out there. So yeah, that's a bit of ideas on a few things about people being grid-centric.